Good morning, good afternoon, good day, and good evening. Now, I don't know what time of day it is for you, but for me, it's the good time of day. We are back at it again. It is another wonderful, beautiful, great day. And we are talking about a subject that we haven't touched on for a hot minute here. And it's one that I wasn't really aware of a lot of things that were going on with it. And one of the, as I want to subscribe, one of my partners, a buddy of mine, Westradamus, he's the one who actually went about telling me and showing me exactly some of the other new things that are developed in this situation with young Pharaoh. And one of them being, or the primary one right now being that he is now out in Sacramento, or last time posted that we seen, he was out in Sacramento at this time going to go get his kids, according to his own statements. And I guess the question that I have in dealing with this is, are we dealing with a situation where there's a young brother right now who's actually making a case against himself, or making the case against himself stronger, and doing it in a way that he's not just doing something that's wrong here in Texas, where where some of this stuff I shouldn't even say some of this stuff started. So he has cases, a case in Texas, a case in California that he has against Google. He has a case out in New York that he had that was for the weapons possession. And now you probably have another case in California that might be, depending on whether or not he actually has custody legally or not, in dealing with his kids. And I'm looking right now. I'm waiting for Westradamus because he had a little more information on this than I had, and I don't see him on just yet. So I'm going to hold for a moment. I guess I'm going to long stroke you guys a little bit here, as I'm trying to see exactly where is Westradamus, and whether or not we're going to be talking more, as a more in depth or with more information that he has on young Pharaoh or not. So one of the things that I guess we can talk about in regards to this young man, and looking at I say what's going on with young Pharaoh, is that if you're in a situation, and I guess I'm looking at it from the legal standpoint. I'm not gonna say I guess I'm looking at it from a legal standpoint at this point, and trying to figure out exactly what's this brother doing, right? And I understand there's a lot of emotion that's involved in it, and this brother, he's probably feeling some type of way. I'm not gonna say probably. Listening to how he's talking about it, the allegations that he's making and alleging against his baby mother, and some of the things that he said previously in regards to his baby mother, and how those things are actually panning out. You've been to jail here in Texas, and you have a case against you here in Texas behind that whole situation. And now that your baby mother has left and she's out there in California, that case seems to be getting even stronger. Let me bring in the one, the only Westradamus. It looks like he is here with us right now. Let me add him to this stream. There he is. Westradamus, how's it going tonight?
Oh man, I can't call it, man. I can't call it. How are you doing today?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. I was telling everybody as we're hopping into this right now that there's some new things that have happened with that I've seen, and what we talked about briefly with in regards to young Pharaoh, because I know that he is now, or I don't know if he still is, but the last thing I seen on him was that he is now out in California trying to I guess trying to get his babies, is what he said. Want to go out there and go get his kids.
Wow.
And I was looking at it from a legal standpoint, that if he told your baby, you tell your baby mama you're gonna have to go back to be with your parents, and she goes back to be with her parents, which is where she's her family's from, California originally, and you know that that's where they're at, and you're in Texas. You tell her that she needs to go back there, and then she's there, and now you pack up shop and you say you're gonna go get your kids, and you're flying all the way on out there to Sacramento, California, to get your kids. I'm now thinking that you're building a stronger case against yourself, and you might even have some issues. You already have a case that he had that was out there in New York. He has a case right now that's pending against him here in Texas. And if he does something similar to what he's talking about doing, if he said he's going to go get his kids, I don't know, there's a custody order in place or anything along those lines. But if you go out there to go get your kids, and you don't have the paperwork together in order to go get your kids, and they're with their mom, and even if, like, so let's say you guys have an agreement, let's say you do have a custody agreement that's currently in place, there's going to be some issues, and I perceive some issues. That's I guess what I'm saying. What did you think about that whole situation?
First off, I really want to understand what's going through his mind.
Hmm.
Like, is he fully computing the seriousness of the situation that he's actually in? No, especially if you're, from my experience, if you're going to a, not a ex-wife, but just a baby mama type environment, and these people know that you're on paper, it leads me to believe that nothing good can come of this without like a some type of order standing behind you, because they can say that a, because I think he's up under a felony because of the counts, how
Okay.
many counts that he has. So he's a alleged felon trying to go get his kids, and people can misconstrue that as a threat or worse. So, in my humblest opinion, I believe Mr. Young Pharaoh, the young man, he just needs to, just relax, lawyer up, and allow other people to do the work for you instead of you going out there. Here, let me go get my kids. Okay, why don't you just hire a lawyer out there to help you get your kids? And just like with this cases, okay, why don't you just hire a lawyer to help you get through your cases? And it just doesn't, things just don't add up. Like just everything around him just doesn't add up. And I just hope that he makes the right decisions, because his life doesn't, not only just his life depends upon it, it's just his kid's life as well, and his mates' lives as well. So he just needs to start making more thought out plans of what he actually wants to do with his life. Hey, do you want to be an entertainer? Do you want to be an MMA fighter? Do you want to be a father? And if you're trying to be a great father, there are some rules that you have to follow. Now that you're on paper, there's certain things, there's certain lines you can't cross, and one of those things is like, one of the scenarios that comes to mind is, let's say he goes to, let's say he does go to California, because he said that he's going to California, and let's say he starts
Out there.
making, yeah, so he's already down there. Okay, so let's say he starts making terroristic threats down there too.
Yeah, and that's not going over as well as it going over here. In Texas, you get a little bit more runway, a little more leeway with that. But out there in California, it's not going to go as far, especially when you're looking at domestic violence out there in California. Being from California, I can tell you it's not going to go as far. The other aspect of that I'm looking at, and yesterday we talked about the case for Black women. This is, as I guess this is a converse, and this is, I guess, a plea from me to my brothers: quit being so emotional and start thinking about, act with intentionality, right?
Right.
Function with some kind of intentionality. Don't just function off of emotion. I feel some type of way, I'm gonna go do some type of thing. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Part of it is the fact that a lot of our young men grew up in an emotional environment, right? That if you grow up in that single parent household, and you learn those type of behaviors from just that one, if you only get that one side and you don't get both sides to it. That being said, as a, if you see it and as a, you keep on, what's that definition of that Einstein definition of insanity? You're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You're going to continue to get these same results. You're wondering why you're getting these results, or maybe you're not wondering. You're just going, well, ain't nobody gonna tell me anything. Look at how I did, and da 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 da. If you keep on doing all that stuff, it's just, for me personally, I don't know. Like you said, wondering where the mindset's at. I think I'm not gonna say I think I understand it, but from what I perceive and what I've experienced previously in looking at situations like this, the mindset normally is they just acted on emotion. Is, I feel this way, I'm gonna act. He looked at me this way, I'm gonna do this. Whatever the feeling is what they act on. And it's not stepping back and going, okay, how should I handle this? What's the best way for me to go about this? If I really want my kids, if I'm operating in the best interest of my kids, okay, like you said, I'm already on paper. All right, so I've already screwed up this aspect of it previously, and I didn't sit up there and I didn't think about it previously, and I acted on it. And there's several other things that I say, and I know Hesse, and he's a smart guy. He's filed a lot of lawsuits, and he's gone pretty far ways in court. So it's not that he's not familiar with it and can't pick up these concepts, but it's once you realize that you're in that hamster wheel, so to speak, on the system, it's at some point you got to sit there and not be so emotional, not be so charged up and just go do something, but think about it. Okay, I want what's best for my kids. I want my kids to have a good father. I want my kids to have a good life. Me and my baby mama, we're not getting along. Whatever that situation is, I say, however your perception of it is at that point, you need to start acting with some kind of intentionality. And he's not acting with intentionality. And when I look at my brothers today, a lot of it is start acting with some kind of intentionality. Look at, like you say, if you need to get an attorney, get an attorney. Well, I don't want to spend the money on an attorney. It might be well worth it. Sit down and look at it. Okay, how much is it going to cost me on the front end versus how much is it going to cost me on the back end if I do it the way I'm thinking about doing it? How much time am I going to lose with my kids? Right? I don't have the time. You don't have them right now, but are you going to get more time by going about doing it the way you're talking about doing it? Or are you going to get
Exactly.
time and you're not going to see them at all? And now they're going to grow up without a daddy. And like I said, and it's not that he's not a tough guy. He's a Muay Thai fighter. He has a good record in Muay Thai. It's not that I say that I don't think that he can sit there and enact violence on somebody. And sometimes we start thinking that that's the only thing that we need to think about, or that's the only thing that matters. I feel some type of way, and I can do this. And you'll find out real quick, as bad as you might think you are, I say you ain't tougher than a bullet, right? There's a lot of tough brothers out there that's sitting up there that's 6 feet under, that's in the dirt because they thought they were so tough. But I say, I don't know. I say,
see, which brings to me is I think that this is just an act. It has to be an act, and I think he lost himself in this young Pharaoh persona because of that's what made him famous, and clearly I don't think this is who this young man is. Deep down inside, I think since this persona is what makes him money, I think this persona is actually overtaking him, and now that's all he's doing. He's acting for the camera. You know, it's like, oh, I'm going to California to go get my kids. No, who actually, a person that is on paper is going to say that on camera or announce that, hey, this is where I'm going. Most bail, hey, he made bail is great. Sometimes bail does come with a restriction of, hey, you can't leave the county because you might be a flight risk.
correct.
So right now he's just creating more trouble, or he's just trying to create some more attention for himself, and that's not the kind of attention you think you want because of, just like what you said. You think you might think that you're tough. I understand that you're as a Muay Thai fighter or a boxer or MMA fighter, your hands have to be registered as weapons as well. Don't it's a nice thing, but you're not tougher than the government.
Yeah.
Nobody suffer here than the government. And the government, when it comes down upon you, it will take away your freedom. And so, like, if I was just playing games in my mind, if I was his counsel, the first thing I would do is I would tell him, sit down and shut up and stop broadcasting and self-snitching.
I agree with you on that one. That's one of those things that I look at it and I think it's like self-snitching. And before I move on, ER, I see you there in the back room. If you can do me a favor, you don't have to be on camera once you come up, but if you can just turn your camera on for me briefly, just so I know that there's a person that I'm talking to or getting ready to talk to after what happened with the Lapeef network. I don't want to have another incident like what they had. So okay, got you, brother. I say you can cut it off now. I'll bring you on up. Let me bring you up right now. But yeah, I say so. Looking at it, here we go. I say, let me ask ER. I say, we got ER here. What did you think about this, ER?
Man, well, let me just get down to the point. First of all, you guys have been phenomenal, and I had mentioned you to Healing from Within, and we couldn't stop talking and sharing, some of the thoughts that you had shared because we've been on this for some time, and it's appalling to us. It's something we've never seen before, and something about the way you explained it, the language is able to help us to make sense of what we're looking at, because as far as we're concerned, this is just crazy. So I just want to say thank you, and we really do appreciate you.
No worries, no worries. As a matter of fact, if I'm gonna be perfectly honest about it, the credit for that, if I'm is the brother that you're looking at right now, Westradamus. He's the one who actually talked me into it. He talked me into it for a second time because I was like, I want to be positive about this, and he was like,
Thank you, sir.
yeah, I said, and I looked, and he was like, no, he said, let's talk about it just from. He said, let's look at it from. He said, you like to look at things from a factual standpoint. This is something with his brother. He's doing. He has a. It could be a learning or a teaching lesson for other brothers out there. So yeah, I say, and that was one of those things as we were talking about it. I say, and I definitely have to give that credit to this brother. I say, Westradamus, he's been on me. I say, initially, I say, he'll tell you on the back end. I was like, I'm not sure, brother. I want to be positive.
And he's like, nope,
like,
I'm not doing it.
Yeah. I was like, I ain't trying to sit there and just dog walk another brother. He was like, brother, he said, this could be something that's positive. We can talk about this. We can sit there and point out how. I say, we always talk about being positive within the Black community and talking about some of these things on right thinking and what can we learn from these lessons, because there's a lot of brothers out there that follow this brother, and I wasn't as aware, but Westradamus, this brother right here, he was all on it. And let me also catch a couple of these, and I'm gonna let you brothers continue talking here, but I just want to catch these three comments actually from Dre. He says, my comrades in the struggle, BM strong. Appreciate that, brother. He also says, fact them white devils will fall on you like right. Yeah, LOL, got that. And then the last one he said, what happened to Lapeef Network? They got their channel pulled is what happened. And we can go over that in depth a little later. But I just want to sit there and let me get these brothers back in here. But we can talk about that actually offline. I say, because that's something that I'm cognitive of. I talked to TLA about it. And he says that one of the things he likes to do is make sure that even if you're not going to appear as a person on camera, just make sure someone cams up briefly so you can see them before they come on up. But we can talk about the rest of that on I say later on. But again,
tell Dre to jump on too, man.
Okay, Dre, if you want to jump on, Dre, hop on. But yeah, getting back to what you were talking about, Yar, I say, so I seen that Healing Within, she's definitely on this. She is on top of it. She's like, she's standing on her neck and she ain't getting off. She is not getting off. So,
let me just say this though. The interesting thing about this is I know for myself and others who tried to reach out, and as I explained before, I am not in any shape, form, or fashion looking forward to seeing anybody's demise at all. It started off a little bit comical, but at the end of the day, as soon as I realized that this was somebody's life, they were actually messing up, whether he was cognitive of it or not, I immediately went into, wow, how can we help this brother? Is there anybody that can mentor him, or perhaps, try to counsel him? So this is really a sad case. I've never lost track of it, even though there's multiple characters involved in love, sex, and rock and roll. At the end of the day, his freedom is really a thing at stake.
Got that.
Yeah, speak on that.
So go ahead. I'm gonna let you go ahead. I apologize. I didn't mean to step on.
No, go ahead.
No, because I was gonna say, when it comes, like you're talking about, this brother's freedom is at stake. I'm always cognitive of what brothers are doing. Right. Yesterday we talked about with sisters, a lot of stuff that we learned was wrong growing up, and I think that he went through and he's done a lot of research. You can hear it when he talks, because Westradamus, like we were talking about it, and I was like, I didn't initially. I'm gonna be honest with you. One of the things that we said, and I'll just say how I was like, I didn't fuck with that brother before because I didn't know about him. And then Westradamus was like, oh no, I fucks with him. He's da 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 da. And I was like, okay, well let me take a look at some of his content and see exactly what he's talking about. And I can see the level of intelligence that this brother has. And you can see that he's done some research on a lot of deep subjects, but for whatever reason, it hasn't, level of research that he's done on those subjects hasn't translated into changing his life or his behavior and how he interacts within society with other people and making a difference within the lives of his kid, or my perception of making a difference in the lives with his kids. Because you're looking at it, and he, like I said, he's out there right now. And I'm thinking, if you're thinking about your children, what are your kids thinking about right now? From the legal standpoint, I can tell you, it's just untenuous, depending on how he's going about it. If he does it the way he's been doing it, there's probably problems. And as Westradamus talked about, there's probably has some restrictions on his bail getting on out there. And so got out there, and he probably put himself behind the 8 ball even further. So from a legal standpoint, you're putting yourself even further behind the 8 ball. You're not being a father to your kids. You're putting yourself more time away from your kids, and you're doing things where your kids, as they're growing up, what they're going to remember is mama's terror from dad, or mama and dad constantly arguing, and then dad always being in jail and never being there for me. Right. So it's sad in that regard.
One of the things that I saw that was very, very sad, and I do see this in our community, we don't know how to appreciate the different colors, if you will, of Black people. So you got some in the West, some in the North, some in the South. You have some that's country, some that is, extremely, bougie, maybe some that's extremely ghetto. But we have to learn to love all of our brothers and sisters. And I'm saying that to say this man doesn't know how to appreciate different Black men, no matter where they are. They could be Muslims. It doesn't matter if they're a good lawyer or they have good counsel or if they're Christian or a pastor. So he isolated himself by, putting all of these people, whether they're Freemasons and all this stuff, talking about the judge and all of these people are no good. That is one of the saddest things I saw, is that he isolated himself like that. And I guess when you're young, you haven't been in the big world that long, you think all of these people who are professional, they're dumb, or, whatever their affiliations is, they don't know anything. And I thought when he walked in that courthouse, he learned that the ancestry stuff that you think that stuff actually don't work in Harris County, man. It doesn't work in Black Law's dictionary. I mean, you might be spiritual and, you know a lot of these ancient African rituals and whatnot, but that does not help you in the court of law.
No, not at all. I say,
I do have a question for you.
Go
All
ahead.
right. So, so you have watched, before you have said that you have watched young Pharaoh for a very long time. So what do you think was the beginning of the end of, or where do you think where he started to go down this path?
I believe
go ahead.
Where he took the wrong turn and didn't adjust it is when he got to the point of, not seeing himself part of the Black community anymore. And when the females continuously, this was the whole show. It was about who's the next girl, who's the next contestant. But I thought when he turned his back on a Black community, I saw this with OJ. He might have not said the same words. However, when he turned his back on Black women who actually single-handedly made his entire platform, I'm saying, dude, don't do that. I mean, you can talk about anybody else, but don't do that right now. Is really that time.
He's like, not now, brother, not now. Don't do that now.
Yeah, man. Like, because I watched him during like the Sonetta days, Unc's crack pipe days, yeah, that was those were classics. And then I have to agree with you. Whenever he started to start trying to distance himself from the community that actually helped raise them and still supported them, even then I believe he was doing some underhanded things. And then just like you said, like, hey, whenever you can spit all that game you want to your followers, but getting your birth certificate authenticated and being a more science temp, speak all that more science temple teachings and things like that. But hey, when you're from that judge, that judge is not going to recognize all the more science temple stuff.
That's a fact. Whole fact.
Nothing. You have to give that to you. Because I'm looking at it, and I guess I got a question for you, brothers, because you guys have followed him. And one of the things that you mentioned, you talk about that a lot of times he looks at everybody as if nobody knows anything. Could it be, or do you think that might be because before he actually started learning the stuff that he learned, that he started sharing on YouTube or whatever, and like you said, back in the Sonata days or whatever else, but back in the day when he was learning all that stuff, and it goes contrary to some of the stuff that he might have been taught, do you think that, like, oh, this is hidden knowledge, and if I'm just learning it, that other people could also be ignorant? Could that be a part of it? Do you might think that might be it or not? I don't know.
I want to say definitely. I think everybody has been down a journey of learning things that might have not been abreast to us. or things we just might have not had access to, including myself. I've been to Egypt, Ethiopia. I'm from New York. I'm specifically African American. I've studied Christian, you name it. What I found was because other black men who were wearing suits, or maybe they graduated, or they were lawyers or firemen or chief of police, it didn't mean they didn't know what I knew. It meant that they knew how to embody the information and continue being productive citizens. And I feel like when he found the information, he did not know how to compute it into his everyday life and still be the same average, guy living in the present world. And so he started to go backwards and, kind of get into this ancient thing. And I understand it, but at the same time, you have to live in the present.
I get you.
Facts.
Got
And
you.
I personally think he started trying to be. I think before he rocked with SETI, he wasn't a hood dude, or he wasn't trying to be a hood dude. He really didn't have any
That's right.
tattoos or anything like that.
Facts.
He was just a humble young man, And then when he hooked up with SETI, and then that's when he tried to get like the I'm hard persona, and then I guess in my humblest opinion, I think the beginning of the end for him was actually like whenever he broke out when SETI said, I can't roll with this youngster no more. Because SETI he's been in the
Absolutely.
game. He's been in the game, for a minute. Especially up there in Detroit area,
That's right.
trying to make things rock up there. So um, the young man, yeah, and you have to understand like how the conscious community actually worked at that time. Back in 15, 14, 13, when it was coming up, is I know better than you, so I'm attacking you, and I'm about to hit you over the head with this thing until you actually get the point. And that's how they went after the Hebrew Israelites,
That's
the
right.
more science temple. Matter of fact, even the Nation of Islam they went after. And well, matter of fact, any faith they actually went after, and they try to beat you over the head with this information, and instead of have a dialogue about it. And so therefore, so what he did is he took that whole persona slash uh, method of just attacking, and here, let me try to air you out. Hey, let me air out all your dirty laundry while I'm attacking you, and that's where he saw what actually got views. But that's not how men conduct themselves. And I think that didn't compute over to him, where now I think the young man's just lost because of, you have to understand what's entertainment and what's really real. Because some things, hey, we all know what showbiz is. Like, hey, man, I'm gonna do this just to sell some tickets. Hey, I'm gonna say this just to get some views. Hey, say, hey, man, it's all good though. All right, is this okay if I say this? That's how what most people do, behind the camera. So therefore, when they get on camera, everybody's cool about it. He'll just attack you, and and then that's how even Umar Johnson said he got into it, because the actress over young Pharoah, and how young Pharoah actually outed Umar Johnson, and Umar Johnson didn't like the video that Pharoah actually put out there about him, and just I just think that just the method of his madness, and then that's how he created enemies, and then that's how he kind of got on an island, and then that's how he felt like, hey, I'm turning my back on this community now.
Yeah, and I'm gonna jump in there because I want to get up Dre's his comment down here. He says, "I'm telling you, brothers," he said, "brothers must be willing to do what is necessary to take what we want." It says, "Black men are too docile until we are against each other. Then we're strong and real ninjas." He says, "Disgusting," and I agree with. It kind of goes to what you're talking about right now. Is if that brother's sitting there looking at these other brothers who's helped him along, like he said, Seti and all these other brothers helping him along. And then he starts realizing that the entertainment value that he's getting out of it, as far as what's going into his pocket, he's getting paid on it. Now he's willing to sit there and continue to go down the entertainment route and not a route on trying to continue to build and make the community better. And again, I don't know if that's factual with this brother, because Western Doms, like I said, you guys have been on this a lot longer than I have. I just looked at it from the legal aspect of it initially, and I've been learning more about it and talking to Westradamus concerning it. So, and
Yeah,
you're like,
Westradamus is right on, and that's why I said, certain brothers do certain jobs, whether they're plumbers, police officers, or lawyers. In this case, Westradamus got this down pat. And that's exactly how it happened. And I believe a lot of people was trying to reach out to him when he was coming at Minister Farrakhan and saying,
Yes.
brother,
he
slow
went
down
after
a
the
little bit.
minister. Wait,
Oh
no,
yes.
he went after the minister.
Big time.
Yes. Oh God. Oh.
Okay, all right. I'll learn
And,
something today.
and the idea was that over time, as you mature, you learn, we may not have the same faith, maybe not the same accent, but I will hear you out. We have things in common. And that's what we were trying to tell him. Maybe you don't agree with the background. Maybe you don't agree with, how they do things, but we do have things in common. And we've all been trying to work towards making things better. And we couldn't get that through to him.
Yeah. But I guess the question, let me read these two comments real fast from Dre, but I have a question in regards to that. One of his first statement is, we won't fight our oppressors with the same energy. That's what I want to stop. Being easily pushed aside. This is how we achieve respect. I definitely agree with that, Dre. And then it's like, I don't know him. I'm just speaking generally. I got you, brother. I know. I know you being a positive brother. You trying to uplift. I get you. But my question is, when I'm looking at these type of situations with a brother like this, right? So you have this young brother. He's out there and he's doing all of these different things. And he's attacking everybody. Do you think that part of that could be in how our society is geared, where black men against each other is something that's profitable, is lucrative, is something that you get points for, is being against other black men? We are taught in all of our sports to compete against each other. That's how you achieve a level of success. Could that be a part of why he would, in addition to the entertainment, and like, again, I'm trying to be educated right now because I don't know as much as you brothers do about this whole situation. I only know I've went through the legal paperwork for it. That's the part I do know about. But where did this brother go wrong, and what are some of the things I guess we could do or could have done, or what's possible as we're trying to help this next generation coming up on trying to help them to see, okay, some of the things that all competition and no cooperation doesn't work. And we want to, if you're trying to build, competition's not bad, but we want to make sure we're cooperating with each other. Does that make any sense for that question, or do I need to rephrase?
Yeah, I want Westradamus to take this away. I just want to say one thing. I've learned to love black men from Alabama to Arkansas to New York. I'm from New York. All this competitive stuff, no matter what your profession, what lodge you go to, what religion, and that's where he went wrong. And that's where we make that mistake, is when we don't understand that it's okay to be different and come from different parts of the place and still be able to work the same puzzle.
But isn't that, and that's, I guess, a question, because even especially with religion, a lot of times, if you're Christian, you're not supposed to, you say you love everybody, but Muslims and Jews, not so much. And if you're Muslim, Christians and Jews, not so much. And if you're Jewish, Muslims and Christians, not so much. And you pushing everybody off, and and even within the Christian sects on, I'm Baptist, I'm evangelical, I'm this, everybody everybody has a lane. And if you're not in my lane, I'm against you. And I'm wondering if that played a part. I guess my question, if we're turning it over to Westradamus, I guess that's going to be my question. Do you think that kind of played a part in this brother thinking that that level of competition and being against everybody is where he needed to be at with that?
Well,
and I know I'm asking you to speculate on the mindset, but
there's a lot of speculation, and it's a lot of speculation because I'm not young Pharaoh.
Right. That put you on the
things. Not like the. Well, no matter whatever teaching that we do have, or the teaching that we do get, always imprints upon us.
Mm-hmm.
No matter if it's a religious trope, or any other type of tropes, and I believe, just as Mr. ER, is saying echoes of Garveyism,
Mm-hmm.
and how we shouldn't worry about, shouldn't worry about what you believe in, or what you got. Is what do we have in common, and let's move forward on that. And that's the reason why Garveyism, at its height, was one of the most powerful things ever. And of course, it got dismantled, and then it got morphed into the Nation of Islam, as we see today.
Yeah.
And but to answer your question, I just wanted to make that statement with Mr. ER, with his statement. You're asking a lot of deep questions. It's a very deep question.
Yeah, because here's the reason why I'm asking it. Let me give you a chance to process it and put it in your head on getting an answer.
Yeah. Give me a minute to process.
So I'm asking the question because we have a brother out here, right? And he for good or for bad, right or wrong, there's a lot of young brothers that are looking at this brother and saying, I want to be like him, right? Or that can look at him, and if we can say, okay, well, here's some of the things he did right, here's some of the things he did wrong, here's what we want to, you can emulate or should emulate, and here's some of the things that you should stay far, far, far away from. And I understand that you might have this hang up or that hang up. And as Dre's telling, he said the things that bind us are more important than the things that separate us. Trying to help people to appreciate within the community. Yeah, we've done a lot of things, and there's been things that, my generation, I know that I've dropped the ball. My generation has dropped the ball on a lot of this stuff, but trying to sit there and say, okay, we dropped the ball. Here's what we made mistakes at. Not saying that I'm perfect and I'm trying to be a hypocrite about it, but here's some things that might have been done that I think that I made these mistakes. I'm telling you, don't do the same thing that I did, because here's some mistakes that I made. Right. And I'm trying to figure out when it comes to young Pharoah, we're talking about a brother who's, like I said, he has a family, he has kids, he has his baby's mother, he has and right now what he's pretty much doing, he's shitting on the black family. I hate saying it like that, but
that's right.
My feeling on it, when I look at it, I'm going, and it might not even be intentional, right?
Right.
And the way that he's going about it, like I said, he's working off of emotion. He's not working with intentionality. He's going counterintuitive towards his family, and I don't know if it's just that he's angry and he's doing this stuff and he's using the family as an excuse because he's intelligent, or if he actually believes he's doing what's in the best interest of the family. And if that's the case, how do we help the next generation, people who are looking at him and saying, yeah, this is what I say, young Pharoah, whatever that is, how do we help that generation, or the generation coming up, and say, no, bro, trust me. I say, we've done a lot of stuff. Here's what's probably going to happen. Like he's right now, he's out there in California. He's talking about getting his kid. Go ahead.
Okay. Now I'm thinking is, I believe what young Pharoah missed was the application portion.
Yep.
Of all the lessons, all the teachings, all the supreme knowledge, because information doesn't mean anything. Because if somebody comes up to you, have a fist and say, hey, I'm about to punch you, your information is not going to mean anything. All it is just information in your head and just words. Okay, just information in your head, not even having came out to words. But the application will give you the words for you to maneuver through that situation.
Right.
And with Mr. Pharoah here, it just, he didn't have a proper checks and balances. He's not balanced. In any high teaching, it always speaks about being balanced. No matter what spiritual teaching you speak about, it's all about balance. And I think he got too much seasoning on one side.
That's right.
And whenever you're seasoned more on one side than the other, just like a nice little steak, you're like, it might be a $200 steak, but if it's not seasoned correctly, it isn't no better than a $2 steak.
Right.
$2 steak can actually taste better than that. And where he went wrong is just when people are reaching out to you. And I do understand that it's the way that people do reach out to you. But when you have multiple people reach out, I know of 10 people myself and showed me receipts that they have reached out to this young man, has tried to give him just a kind words kind words and say, hey man, I just don't think the way that you're going about this is not the right way. Even about doing the threats and things like that. Say, hey man, I think you're more in your ego right now. It's like, hey man, just cool off on that. I seen people trying to guide this man, and you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And then when we're trying to talk to the younger generation, is we have to understand their language, and what people probably misunderstand about Mr. Pharaoh. We don't understand his language.
Mhm.
Like, don't get me wrong, we can all speak a language of, black power, black pride, and black everything, right? And people identify with that, and with that, he took advantage of that. So what it shows to me that he's more of an opportunist,
Yep.
and the things that just showing how it is really it was fake.
Mhm.
So the message I would tell somebody is make sure whatever you do in this world, make sure it's very genuine, and make sure it does enact change. Whenever you do enact that change, make sure you make that change from the inside, not change from the outside, so therefore people can see you differently. Hey, really make that change on the inside, because that's where your true power relies, and it actually relies within, not without. And it seems like he actually seeked outside people approval,
Mhm.
and then seeking that outside approval and that attention just kept on feeding his ego. And then after that it was just just like a railroad track, just went all off the tracks, and it's unfortunate. Of course we have emulators, and he won't be the only one, because we already have a couple already with
That's right.
with Nature Boy.
Mhm.
This man is that horse has left the barn about 5-10 years ago, and now he has such a following. It's tough to reel him back in. Same with young Pharaoh. It's tough to reel him back in because he has such a following, and now it's become more of like a cult like behavior.
Yes, sir.
And go ahead.
No, so I can definitely say. And ER, you had something you're getting ready to say.
Well, I just wanted to go back to when he said about the application. He had said one day when he was very angry, he hate good talking Negroes.
Facts.
And when I heard it, I thought, wow, this is a little bit telling, because what I'm beginning to understand is, because the information that he learned, and he had not made the application, because a lot of those things that he's alluding to or supposedly representing have some good, nutritious value in it, and can help
Agreed.
you in your day-to-day life to be a person of good, moral, great standings. And the application that was not made, it turned him into hating the people that could make the application. So
Yes.
here, other persons may be able to take this information and still go to work, still raise their family, and life just goes on. But because he couldn't, do the same, I think it made him angry at other people. And I just want to say this last point about the Garveyism. That was one of the things I think even Minister Farrakhan learned at his older age, which he was able to gather men of all persuasion and women to come meet with him at the Million Man March, because he took the Garvey idea of forgetting, the religious battles, and forget, what coast you come from, and I just kind of thought that he had not applied that to his life, because I think that would have helped him.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, I say, because a lot of times we get taught that those are the things that you don't want to do. You want to go with whatever the differences are. Let me read these two quick comments real fast, and I'm gonna continue on. It says these dudes only want cloud SB, or has a talking to me. Okay, this is why we need our own schools to educate our boys. We need to be responsible. Was poured into them. I agree with that. LeBron school should have been the first of 2,500 across. Let's see, across America. Okay, I thought it was the second part to that. As I definitely agree. We need to control what goes into our kids. And this is a furthering of that, of saying that we definitely need to control what goes in our kids, because watching what's going on with this young man, it's, for me, like you said, it's sad because I'm watching him. As once you turn me on to me and I'm looking at it, and then I looked at the paperwork and I'm going, what's this brother doing? And then it's like you talked about it the other day, and I looked, I'm like, he's out in SAC. Like, I still call it SAC. My family, I got family out there in Sacramento. I'm like, he's out in SAC. I'm like, why in the world would he go out? Then it's like, oh, then I looked at it, I was like, he done said that he's going out there after he told the baby mama that she has to go back to her parents, and her parents are out there. So it's like, where else did you think she was gonna go? You in jail now. She done went back to her parents, and now you talking about you got to go out there to go get your kids. And I'm like,
take them where? Take them where?
That's one of those.
I'm just saying, like, I'm sorry to cut you off. I apologize. Go ahead.
Go for it. Like you said, take them where? That's where receive your kids. Where are you gonna say with that?
See, this is. I'm just tired of the ignorance. I understand, like, this is about the culture here, and this is a comment to myself as well, because I cannot stop watching a train wreck. You know, I'm like, hey, I have popcorn. I'm staring at it. You know, I'm popping. You know, I'm watching the train wreck.
Everybody does.
But this level of ignorance, just watching, because of, you know, even today at work, all right, there's another person stooging off their life, you know, and this person, you can be so productive, like even young Pharoah, like he can be so productive if he can just turn it around and just do just a couple critiques. If he can just fix a couple critiques, just stop cussing every other word, right? Make it somewhat kid friendly, and so therefore that he can start doing. Because I remember when he was doing all the lectures across America, him and Seti, they're doing lectures, and now just to see just the ignorance that he's portraying, and people are just agreeing with this and identifying with this, and then it always gets attributed to black people or indigenous people or the black man, are just always being ignorant and stupid, you know, and I just get tired of those tropes keep on being passed down, as in, okay, well, you see a black guy walk in a room, he has to be ghetto, or see a black guy in a room, he can't say a word past 5 syllables, like he can't say character, or or whatever trope it is, you know. And with this is like, all right, you had a gun charge, so now you can't say that you're totally ignorant of the law, because whenever you sit up in that cell, whenever you sit in that 10 by 10 cell, all right, there's nothing but you and wall and books. And after that, hey, it's like, hey, you have your jailhouse lawyer, and after that, you can sit up on the jailhouse lawyer, and they'll actually start talking you through things. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it. All right. And then you see him getting into the more science temple teachings, you know, authenticating your birth certificate, and try to get your money out of your Social Security, use your Social Security number, trying to get money out of your account. Right. I've seen it all. All right. And just to see this happen, and this occurring, and knowing that this cannot be prevented because of a person's ego, and it's just not affecting his family, it's affecting a whole bunch of other people, it's affecting me, it's affecting Mr. EB right here, and in essence it's trickling down to you now.
Yeah.
You know, and some people think like, oh man, that's cool, that's what hood people do, to, you know, and just the presentation of it, when, let's say, an outsider, and they see this, it's like, hey, this is one of the YouTube personalities here, and a lot of people or kids might pull them up, and they can't understand, they can't blur. It's like, hey, this is entertainment, or they may think that this is who this person actually is. Yeah. You know, and I call it the Tupac Shakur effect. You know, it's negativity. All right, and if you were to sit down this person and say, all right, would you teach this stuff to your kids about you giving these threats, you openly breaking the law, so therefore you're actually asking these people to come in your life, and you're asking these people to actually come arrest you again. So therefore now you're telling us, okay, I want to be around nothing but men. Because hey, if you ever been to jail or prison,
I don't want
just
my kids either.
no,
Yeah.
no, just go to jail docket one day. Just go. I promise you, you will almost pass out just by the smell. You will pass out. Like,
I've been down to the Baker Street. Yeah.
yeah. Multiple times I've been in,
Yeah.
and it's just a missed opportunity. Hopefully, this young man can turn it around. But like with this ego, is the question is, can he slay the beast within? And what I find out with most people, you know, or with some people, is we can't.
Yeah. So here's what I want to do, because we're gonna get
And
that hard stop at
and
9 o'clock.
for some people, that's what life is all about. Is the greatest enemy is you're looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Is can you get out your own way, so therefore you can achieve your greatness,
Yeah. No,
your ascension. You know,
yeah.
we talk about, hey, uh, you have to resurrect things in your mind, and ascension in your mind and body and spirit is now can you defeat your lower self, so therefore your higher self can flourish. You know, and then whenever you try to fuse the two, you know, you kind of lose yourself.
Yeah.
And what we see is this young man lost. You know, having all these tattoos on your face, like you know, now what are you trying to do? You're trying to just be an entertainer for the rest of your life, not trying to be a businessman. You know, when you
Yeah.
look at Jay-Z, you look at the model that Jay-Z put out there, you know, very savage person, you know, and he's a person a lot of people need to look up as a businessman, not as a rapper, but as a businessman.
I'm a businessman, not businessman. Got you. Has
Yeah,
a
I'm a businessman because I'm a businessman.
Yeah. So what has a I was going to get this comment out the way. Dre says at West Drama's facts, and I know we're running up against that hard. You said you have a hard stop here at 9. So what I want to do
Yeah.
for the last part of this, I want to open it up for ER and you guys to get the last words in here. Take us out. And here's the question I have for both of you guys. So we've talked about this. We discussed it ad nauseum at this point. And I'm going to start with ER. What do you think we can do in order to help younger people that see young Pharaoh change, or look at that and say, okay, these are some things we need to not do? And secondly, is there anything that you perceive that might be able to be done for young Pharaoh himself? And I'm gonna start with you, ER.
We can help them to appreciate, and I mean this with all due respect, to stay in school, because this is one of the downfalls of young Pharaoh. He did not, because of his circumstance, get a chance to get that type of education that we all are entitled to here, at least in this country. And we can help them to appreciate that you can uh, have the life that you want, but you still have to remember that you have other things you have to do. Business, you still have to go in the bank, you still have to go cut your grandmother yard, you still have to go to church. And so, you know, you can't create a one type of character that is not really real in other places. And I think we can help them to appreciate that all of the things that you think you want to do, it is obtainable with education and with balance. And for young Pharaoh, hopefully he can again start listening to some counsel and see the benefit of his brothers and sisters of all colors in this community, and anybody
Yes,
that's
sir.
concerned for him.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. So I'm going to ask the same question for you, Westradamus, on heading on out here. What can we do in order to help the upcoming generation as well as with young Pharaoh? I like to always end it on what can we do, as opposed to just I don't want to just dog walk the brother, but what else can we do for him and for the upcoming generation?
Just like I said, to Mr. Young Pharaoh, to his fans, to his followers, and to his detractors, This is not me uh, make any kind of personal attacks. This is very positive. It's just all the information just has to be negative, and I'm trying to be the most positive because in order, if you truly love somebody, you have to be honest with the person. And if you truly want change out of somebody, you have to really be honest. And truth, no facts, and truth mixed with the truth is very painful. And the way that I go is like Elder Ray Hagen's is, if I am wrong, please save me. You know, save me. Do not attack me, but save me. And this is a way of I'm trying to save. Just taking his own style is just the way to save him. And because nobody wants to see anybody do bad. You know, the whole Icarus
Right.
of this whole situation here is there is enough room at the top for everybody to do well. I don't understand this crab in the barrels mentality. Oh, I'm better than you, so now I'm going over here. That's enough for everybody. You know how many YouTube channels have over so many views and things like that? There's enough for everybody out here.
Correct.
And
Resources are there.
yeah. So it's not like, oh, I'm trying to knock on you. There's no knock. It's just we're looking at what he's doing, and we're trying to critique, and then hopefully this message does get to him, and so therefore hopefully he can make a change, or if somebody out there can listen to this message and
Somebody,
say, yeah, you know what, it's like, hey, I need to make a change, and if that is the case, hey, I can show you the way. It's like, hey, I'm a person from a troubled background, and I ended up hey, went to law school, got everything, and nobody told me nothing. Nobody told me anything. I had to figure all this stuff all by myself. Nobody gave me a roadmap. No, nothing. No, like, hey, talking about, hey, my dad lived in jail. Heck, to be honest with you, heck, I only met him only a couple times. So but just the lessons, just to for the youth is, just watch everybody before you act. Just watch and see whatever actions that happen. How does that work out for them? Just whatever it is, just watch people and whatever they say that they're going to do, and see if it works out for them.
wow.
And get the whole story, not just half stories. Like, oh, so and so's doing well, but hey, here, let's look on the back end of that. Say, hey, this person's cheating to get there, or hey, this person looks like they're being very successful. But hey, look on the back end of that. And people in young pharaohs is when you have so many people reaching out to you, trying to give you advice, trying to say, hey man, don't say that, don't do this. Especially when you start going after elders. I believe he said a comment about Dr. Claude Anderson before, and that took me out.
He talked about the, oh man, all right,
The God,
yeah,
and Dr. Claude, like, he's been 100% a general about everything, So, man, it's just unfortunate. I pray for his family. Hopefully this whole family situation does get better. Hopefully they don't end up on the system. And I'm done with Young Pharaoh. We might do a part 3 just for a case update, because since he's such a polarizing character.
I think it might be a part 3 only because I'm curious as to what happens in the Sacramento thing. If I'm being honest, at this point.
And then I like to get Mr. ER on here, so therefore we can really start speaking his history. Because a lot of people from a neutral observer, it's like, hey man, like, this is, hey, this is where he started hey, this is where's his rise. Actually, I want to do like a rise and fall of young Pharaoh.
Yeah.
Mr. ER, if you'd like to come back on.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome back on. As a matter of fact, Dre says, ER, well said, black man. So I wanted to make sure I cut that in there as well before we get on out of here. I know we just hit that 9 o'clock mark, but I want to tell both of you brothers, thank you guys for participating in this and sitting on this panel with me. All the comments that you guys have given and given the insight that I definitely did not have in regards to this. I'm gonna do some more research on it. I don't think I'll ever get to the level of UER, Westradamus, or Healing Within. I can only look at the legal side of it, but you brothers have definitely given me a lot of insight on this that I didn't have before, and hopefully everybody listening is able to get some kind of insight as far as what not to do and what you can learn from this type of deal with young Pharaoh, as to act with intentionality. Don't just act off emotion. And as you're learning, like you said, embrace the entire diaspora of the Black Brotherhood. I say, because we're going to have some different thoughts. I have a family member that always likes to talk about that we're not a monolith, which is true, but we all are discriminated against monolithically. So we want to make sure that we stick together and not start isolating ourselves and start cutting people off without. Let me not even say without just cause, because then people start coming up with just cause reasons, but try and see if we can stay together as a community. And I want to thank you, ER, for stopping in with us. And again, thank you as well, Westradamus, on the way out. And I know
try to get ER's information, man. Like I do want to do like a show, talk about the rise and fall, and hopefully, like, hey, if you know any other body, that that was into young Pharaoh, and at least from the early days, I'm like, hey, we can really do a really good build on this, and really show other people, say, hey, man, this is all about, because I know this show might be skewed more towards negative, but hey, we can show some positive aspects of the young man, and in hopes to show, like, hey, it's not everything's bad. It's just, yeah, just he's just throwing it away, and it's just disappointing. Yeah. Here, let me just do my sign off. Say, hey, everybody, I love each and every one of y'all, and I'll be praying for every one of y'all. Hey, and just find just peace in your life, and peace and balance. Peace and balance, and that'll lead to happiness for the rest of your days. All right, peace and love. I'm out.
Talk to you later, Westradamus. ER, did you have anything you want to take us out with before I cut this out? You still there with me, brother? ER? I said, do you have anything you want to say on the way out before I cut this the stream? I guess not. All right, so I'm going to cut this off with everybody. I want to tell you guys what I know I haven't told you guys before. I love you. I care about you deeply. I'm hoping that you're having a great day, and that if you're at the end of it, that you're killing it, that you killed it, and if you're getting ready to get on it tomorrow, that you're going to kill tomorrow's day if you're listening to this at another time. And may you always, always, always in your life be blessed with peace. We're out.